Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We have an update on trade and market access issues that could impact U.S. beef exports. Plus, we'll take you along to see a producer trade mission to Japan, learn how U.S. beef is promoted in this billion-dollar export market.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kevin Ochsner. Now, in just a few short months, thousands of members of the cattle industry will be right here in San Antonio, Texas for the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. The 2020 event will be one of the largest gatherings on record, and it's something that you can't afford to miss. Now, if you're in the cattle business, this event is for you. The convention runs from February 5th through the 7th. Registration and housing opens in just a few days, on October 1st, as a matter of fact. Go to ncba.org for all the details on how you can attend. The first half of 2019 was good for beef exports, as demand for U.S. beef continues to grow internationally. According to data released by USDA and compiled by the U.S. Meat Export Federation, beef exports were up 3% year over year in June, while export value was up 1% from a year ago. That export value number is the fourth highest total on record. Exports for the first 6 months of 2019 were down 2% from a year ago in volume, but held steady with last year's record value pace at $4.03 billion. Japan continues to be our biggest trade partner, while South Korea recently passed Mexico as the second largest destination for U.S. beef. At the same time, producers fear that ongoing trade disputes could jeopardize our international access and slow the momentum for the rest of the year. We've got an update on some of these issues in this week's Beltway Beef Spotlight.
With Congress back from the August recess, most of our focus is going to continue to be on passage of the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. But that's not the only issue we're working on. We were pleased to see the announcement from President Trump and Prime Minister Abe of Japan that they're going to try to secure a trade agreement at the end of September, hopefully at the next meeting of the UN General Assembly. It's very important that we secure a bilateral deal with the Japanese as soon as possible because we really need to level the playing field there. Unfortunately, we still face a 38.5% tariff in Japan, while all of our major competitors, specifically the Australians and Canadians, face a much lower tariff. If we don't address that difference soon, then Japan could be a less lucrative market for us in the long run. So we're hopeful that we're going to see a positive announcement very soon, because that's a very important market to us. We're also hoping to see further developments in the ongoing discussions with China. China is a major beef importer. They've surpassed the United States as the leading import market for beef. And unfortunately, the United States is not part of meeting that big demand in China. So we're hopeful that we can see some meaningful negotiations there. And while tariffs get a bulk of the focus, actually it's the non-tariff trade barriers that do the most damage to us. So we're hopeful that we'll see some kind of relief on removing the hormone restrictions and beta-agonist restrictions, because China could ultimately be a $4 billion market for us.
Meanwhile, NCBA is urging members of Congress to quickly ratify the U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement. We asked some of our producer leaders to share their thoughts on why this deal is so critical to the success of the beef industry.
Well, Canada and Mexico, two of our largest 5 trading partners. Since the inception of NAFTA, we probably increased beef exports to Mexico about 800%. And it's not only in a tonnage to the good, it's the fact that they use, especially in Mexico, they use a lot of products that with a lot higher value down there than they are in the U.S. For example, tongue. I was recently in Mexico and I ordered the ribeye and my companion ordered the tongue and they were the same price. So we add value in a lot of different ways by these trading agreements.
Certainly the principal issues right now revolve probably around our export markets, particularly with USMCA ready to go to Congress, ready for a vote. We're certainly pushing hard to get that done through the fall, and we hope very hard that we're able to bring that to a vote and we can get that passed.
Well, all you have to do is look at who our biggest trading partners are. And I mean, when you look to our north and you look to the south, clearly that they make our market in many respects. And if we do not get a deal done there, we're going to watch not just our industry, a lot of industries suffer.
Now, if you'd like to stay up to date on all the key issues and events from DC, one way is by becoming a member of NCBA. Members get the Beltway Beef newsletter, a weekly update straight from Washington. It gives valuable insights on the key policy initiatives that may impact your business. To join, just call 1-866-233-3872, or you can visit the website ncba.org. We're not done talking trade. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll take a trip overseas and show you how the checkoff works to promote U.S. beef in Japan. We'll be right back.
Case IH is proud to grow the century-long Farmall legacy by introducing the Farmall Utility 75A tractor. More comes standard on this economy-level tractor, giving you the features and performance you need without the additional costs. FPT patented engine and emission solutions require no regeneration, so you can keep your tractor running longer. The Farmall Utility 75A is engineered with heavier components built into the tractor. This evenly distributes weight in all the right places without the addition of wheel weights. The optional power shuttle transmission makes the Farmall Utility 75A easy to operate, especially during loader work. By simply pulling the shuttle lever up or down, you can move forward or reverse without pushing in the clutch to shift gears. All Farmall Utility 75A tractors come with spacious, comfortable cab and non-cab operating stations that offer exceptional visibility with easy access to all your controls. A high-visibility roof panel comes standard, making loader work like stacking bales much easier. Experience the difference. Test drive a Farmall Utility 75A today. Contact your Case IH dealer or visit caseih.com/minute.
As we told you earlier in the show, U.S. beef exports are on pace for another strong year. And that's thanks in part to Japan, which has long been one of the top destinations for U.S. beef. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Brian Baxter went along on a recent trade mission to Japan to learn more about the relationship between our two countries.
In a busy Tokyo train station, a cowboy hat is probably not what you'd expect to see in the crowd. Even so, it was a little more common when the U.S. Meat Export Federation hosted a group of 31 beef, pork, corn, and soybean producers during a 5-day whirlwind trip to the key export market of Japan.
So far, Japan's been a pretty amazing place. It's quite amazing culture, huge city, lots of people. Happy to see them eating lots of beef.
Gosh, we've gotten to do everything from touring a Wagyu farm in Sendai to a meat market or a packing plant in downtown Tokyo. And we've also gotten to see American beef in the actual retail cases in supermarkets. And it really drove home for me the point that Japan can only provide like 36% of its own domestic need. And demand here is growing, and U.S. is in a great position to fulfill that need, especially with the work of U.S. MEF.
The group of U.S. ag producers called the Heartland Team got a first-hand look at Japan's own Wagyu beef production, as well as meat processing plants, U.S. MEF barbecue promotions, and Japan's major retail stores where U.S. beef was competing alongside beef from Australia and elsewhere.
Very fortunate to be over here with the Heartland team, with US MEF, getting a chance to see kind of ground level in Japan, what their efforts look like in the Japanese market and what the Japanese market itself looks like in terms of not just with the consumer, but with processors, retailers. We've really seen the whole gamut while we've been over here.
Well, the Heartland team is an opportunity for us to bring a cross-section of our membership, really grassroots production side of our membership, over to, in this case, Japan, to one of our key markets. And really in a matter of 1 week, we're able to show them a little bit of everything that we're doing to help and try to develop the market. You know, we're meeting importer distributors, we're meeting retailers, we're meeting the food service segment, but more importantly, they get a feel for the culture and really all the moving parts that go into developing a market on an everyday basis.
Japan is the #1 export market for U.S. beef, totaling more than $2 billion last year. But this is a nation with more than 125 million people and some of the world's highest average incomes. So there's still a real opportunity to continue growing U.S. beef sales in this market.
Well, it's enlightening to me to see that the Japanese consumer has a lot of room for growth in beef consumption, especially U.S. beef. I mean, the palate, they will like it. They really do enjoy it. We just don't have a huge consumption rate in Japan right now, but it's growing. I think we've got huge potential in growing beef consumption in Japan.
My impressions of the Japanese market is that they're very loyal to buying U.S. beef, provided that it's it's a value to them. They see it as superior in both quality and reliability of what we can deliver on a daily basis. And I think we're hearing the same things that I've been hearing from domestic consumers is quality, quality, quality. And I think the American producer is hearing that loud and clear, and I think we can fill that niche.
USMEF opened its first office in Japan more than 40 years ago and continues to conduct a wide variety of promotion and education programs aimed at growing Japanese demand for U.S. beef. Those programs are supported by USDA foreign marketing dollars and also by U.S. producers through the Beef Checkoff and their state beef councils.
So North Dakota Beef Commission has been involved with USMEF for a long time. They've had a good long-standing relationship, and it's important to the North Dakota producer to invest in USMEF so that they can continue to do some projects like they do in Japan. And we actually from North Dakota have contributed to USMEF to help promote the retail side and the restaurant side of the beef promotion and U.S. beef in Japan.
Well, we see value with the relationship with USMEF because of the increase in money that it brings to beef operations all over Nebraska. It adds about over $300 a head to our industry. Without that, we'd be leaving a lot of money on the table.
You know, our beef checkoff dollars are hard at work here, and I really feel more confident about it today than I ever have before. It really is making a difference here in Japan, and you know that export market's worth so much money to the producers that produce all the way down to the cow-calf producer, and I think it's just extremely important to continue to support programs like these that really helps everybody's bottom dollar.
With the USMEF Heartland team in Tokyo, I'm Brian Baxter for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
To learn more about the work of the U.S. Meat Export Federation and its efforts to enhance U.S. beef demand overseas, visit their website at usmef.org. America's cattle producers are not only committed to providing high-quality, nutritious protein to families across the world, but also those in their local communities. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Jill Sheridan visited Nebraska to learn more about a great project that is putting beef on school lunch trays.
At Thayer Central Schools in southeast Nebraska, students are finding beef is what's for lunch, thanks to the Titan Beef Boosters program.
Here in Nebraska, we consider ourselves the beef state, right? So perhaps our greatest resource is beef and the people who raise it, our farmers, our ranchers, and our producers. So we want to really bring that back to these communities and show kids that it's those local producers in their communities who work hard every day to put that fresh beef on their trays.
Titan Beef program came to life as an idea in the summer of 2015. I was approached by a local producer, Rob Marsh. We sat down together and got to talking and thought if we could get maybe 24 to 30 head of cattle donated, we would be able to sustain this program for 3 years.
I did read an article in the Nebraska Cattlemen magazine that another school had tried something like this, and they were having some results. And I thought, wow. But then it really made me kind of focus on, I'm a father, I have 4 daughters, 4 young daughters, and we concentrate on what they eat at home, but we as parents have no idea what they're eating during the day. I thought, I want to help.
So Titan Beef Boosters and the local beef program here in Hebron at Thayer Central was really brought from the community and from the ground up. And they were basically the groundbreakers in a local beef program in the state. And from them, so many more have learned and been inspired to develop their own programs across the state.
If we want to help our kids eat better, we have the best protein there is right outside our door here. And I thought, what better way just to put it all together? So I really wanted to just truly help all of our kids in our school district. So I just started making some phone calls to some other producers. A lot of them were on board with the idea right away.
The response to the idea of getting local beef into the schools was immediate and strong. People were eager to help make sure beef is on the menu for school lunches.
Once we started telling people about it, it was not a problem to have beef donated. It was phenomenal how the community came together to make this such a huge success, and it has just grown.
It's been fantastic to see people that are willing to donate money and the meat itself, and even the local grocery stores donated space to store the meat.
The Department of Education has been a really great partner in this program. That's been encouraging to help a lot of schools bring this program into their local communities. And then with the Nebraska Beef Council side of things, I like to go out and talk to a lot of these different schools. And I work with their food service staff and basically bring in some of their recipes. So when new schools come online or kind of curious about how they can utilize all this fresh beef products, we have tried and true recipes that we can hand them and give them some great options to provide for their students at the school lunch program.
Our kids are eating awesome. They're cleaning up their trays. That's the biggest thing I heard from the kitchen staff the first couple months into this, was that not only are we having a lot better lunch participation, but they're cleaning their whole tray up.
Since starting the program, there's been a lot more kids that eat lunch here. They seem to be excited about lunch instead of just, it's just a school lunch. Now it's beef day, one of the menu items that they love.
Now, 4 years after the program first started at Thayer Central, Nebraska Beef in Schools has expanded to more than 65 school districts. And with help from the Nebraska Beef Council and the Beef Checkoff, the program delivers students not only high-quality beef, but also positive messages about beef nutrition and how cattle are raised.
Now the Beef Council, they're going with the nutritional fact of it and helping us promote it, and gets them out into the schools to help promote it and tell them how good beef actually is.
So Nebraska Beef Council really found value in providing educational materials to help connect with the students who are consuming in the cafeteria to educational opportunities in the classroom.
I like to educate the kids, in classes we talk about how beef is raised, and then it's nice to make that connection to, well, it's Tuesday or Thursday, what are you having for lunch? Well, you're having beef. And so this is how it's raised. Today you're eating Thayer County beef, and it was donated to you, and it's good.
It really is a win-win. It helps schools with their proceeds and costs, and gets young kids excited about eating beef and enjoying that. And it's a great source of pride for the producers, and hopefully, promotes that for them as well and makes their product that much more viable.
Great beef donated to a great cause, helping to provide for the next generation of beef consumers. In Nebraska, I'm Jill Sheridan for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
You can check out the Beef It's What's for Dinner website for a great interactive experience. You'll find things like recipes, information on beef cuts, and nutritional information at this one-stop shop for all things beef. Still to come on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll show you how John Deere tractors are making a difference for cattle and hay producers in Montana. That story and more when we return.
Out here, you know what needs to be done, and you know what it means to those you're doing it for. But every sunrise brings something new, with the weather, the soil, the markets, your machinery. You can't always predict what it will be. So it's good to know that Ram trucks are more than capable of helping you get it done right.
Now a BQA tip from the Beef Quality Assurance Program.
My tip today is about biosecurity. It's about bringing cattle onto the place, just bringing in new additions to the herd. You know, if at all possible, what we want to do is we want to get a health program from those cattle. Cattle that are coming in from out of state have the benefit of having a health certificate. So we've had eyes on those cattle. They've looked at those cattle and saying that these cattle are indeed healthy, and that's why they're coming in. Even though those cattle are healthy, we do want to keep them separate from the rest of our herd. Get some background information if at all possible, find out what kind of herd health program they've been on. Keep cattle separate for about 30 days, you know, about 4 weeks to 30 days, and keep an eye on them and watch them. During that time, it's a really good time to take samples if you need to take samples to see if they could be incubating disease. Get them on your herd health program. If you need to do any procedures like vaccinations or deworming, even do some samples to see if they have parasites, that kind of thing. So that's a really good time to go ahead and get them integrated into your herd health program before you actually get contact with your herd.
Find out more about beef quality assurance at bqa.org.
2019 will go down as one of the toughest years to put up hay. In most areas, a long, wet spring pushed production way behind schedule. Indeed, a weather year like this drives home the value of having reliable equipment and machinery that's ready to go when you are. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Brad Bulla takes us to Montana to see how producers there tackled their hay season.
With mountains all around, western Montana is beautiful country. Rainfall is limited here, but even so, this is an outstanding place to raise both cattle and hay.
We started the cattle herd back in the early 80s when I came to Dillon, and it was just kind of a small group of cows. And as we acquired more ground, we acquired more cattle. So now we probably have about 1,500 mother cows.
We are a cow-calf operation, run just over 1,000 cows, have about 800 irrigated acres of cropland.
The advantage of Dillon is the cool nights, warm days in the summer, low humidity, so that makes hay production ideal. We don't have a lot of rain, especially once we get into July and August. So that makes for high quality hay.
Like all those making hay, these Montana producers keep a close eye on the weather, because for them, the window of opportunity to get hay cut, baled, and out of the field is especially short.
With the winters that we've been having in Montana, we've gone from having farming windows of 3 to 4 weeks down to just days. And with that unknown out there, when it's time to go, it is helpful to be able to get out and get more hours in at any hour.
This elevation here in Beaverhead County, we have a very tight harvest. We don't typically start first cutting hay till the end of June, and we only do 2 cuttings. And the reason for that is we can have a hard frost by Labor Day. So we only have about 60 to 70 growing days, frost-free growing days. So that's tough. So when we have to put up hay, we have to do it in a timely manner.
David Schuett is a part owner of Frontline Ag Solutions, a John Deere dealer with 10 locations across Montana. For David, and for cattle and hay producers in the area like him, the service and parts availability from John Deere is a critical advantage.
Invariably, you'll have a breakdown. I don't care how new your equipment is, it happens. But the beauty of Deere is, if we don't have it at the dealership, it'll be here at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we're pretty isolated here. We're 150 miles to a major airport. So Deere's dealer network is unrivaled as far as parts go.
Sometimes I think that the cost of ownership is where we need to look, that a lot of times you can't afford to have the breakdowns, the downtime that you do with other equipment. And so that is really important to us, is when it's time to go that we are able to go. And that's really what we look at.
These producers believe another way John Deere delivers is by continuing to innovate, offering a variety of features and new technology on every piece of machinery in the hayfield.
Our farming tractor has auto track, which allows us to run more hours of the day, get done quicker. You don't have to see as much at night, so we can run pretty much around the clock and get done faster, much faster.
I mean, my guys will work 14 to 16 hours a day when we're in the heat of the harvest or haying or tillage work in the spring. And with AutoTrack, it's unbelievable how much better attitude is of my crew. We go through a tremendous amount of acres. We farm probably, in the spring, we farm probably about 7,000 to 8,000 acres, and then we hay almost 20,000 acres, not only our own, but for other people. So those guys put in a lot of time and a lot of sleepless nights, and the John Deere innovation really eases their workload.
I also see our producers who, you know, they get tired in the day and they can't go out and put an 8-hour day in a swather. All of a sudden you show them how the AutoTrack works in it. They're putting 12 hours a day in. They're getting 120 acres done a day. I mean, everything's simpler. They're getting their hay knocked down faster. They're avoiding the storm. They're getting it into the bale faster.
The other thing that's been a big boost for the John Deere balers the last 2 years is they've come out with the accumulator so that we don't have to stop and we don't have to stop to unload. We can wrap the bales, put them on the accumulator, and then we can drop them in the field. Well, some people think, what was that such a big deal? But if you're putting up 30,000 round bales and you can pick them up with your stackers in a line, that's huge. Those stackers aren't wasting near as much time. So that's probably been one of the biggest innovations of recent time.
You're easier on your equipment, you're being more productive, you're being more fuel efficient, you're getting the max amount of work done in a day, and it pays for itself at the end of the day.
Bottom line for these producers, making the best hay possible for their cattle each year. And they believe their John Deere gear helps them get that job done. Reporting from Western Montana, I'm Brad Bulla for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about how equipment from John Deere can bring value to your farm or ranch, visit the website johndeere.com. Still to come, we'll examine the Beef Quality Assurance Program and its value to our industry. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Now, a BQA tip from the Beef Quality Assurance Program.
So the beef industry's been fortunate that we've not had a production limiting disease that has impacted our entire industry. So in the future, we need to make sure that we're prepared for such a disease to happen. So having a plan in order to respond to a disease and to prepare ourselves to make sure that we have as little impact as possible on not just our business as a whole, but also with our trade partners overseas. So as part of these emergency action plans, it's important for us to work with all sectors of the beef industry, from the cow-calf person all the way to the packer and processor. When it comes to our regulatory agencies, making sure that they're also an integral part of this, because when it comes to any foreign animal disease or emergency response that's necessary for our industry, they are a key part. So making sure that we have a plan, and those plans typically include standard operating procedures and working with your state, federal agencies to make sure that they are in compliance to what the national plan is for any sort of beef, secure beef supply or emergency response is important.
Find out more about beef quality assurance at bqa.org.
We've talked often on this show about how the Beef Quality Assurance Program helps raise consumer confidence through proper management techniques. Recently, state BQA coordinators gathered to update their own training and learn about new aspects of the BQA program. Brian Baxter has the story.
Producers who care for their cattle in the best ways possible end up delivering the highest quality beef to consumers. That's why the National Beef Quality Assurance, or BQA program, works to certify cattle producers and feedlot operators in every state who are using proven practices in caring for their animals.
BQA program is an important part of the beef industry. It's our opportunity to make sure that we're doing things right. It's our opportunity to tell the public that we're doing things right.
BQA is extremely important, especially with the changing consumer dynamic where they want to know a whole lot more about how their beef was raised, where it came from, antibiotic use, all of those things. So our BQA program really is kind of an insurance policy for cattle producers. If we can train them on and they begin to practice all of the beef quality assurance protocols, it really helps us to inform consumers and ultimately earn their trust when it comes to the beef that they are consuming and buying in the grocery stores.
Each year, state BQA coordinators meet to share ideas, get updates on the latest cattle production issues, and to work together to ensure that the BQA program itself is continuously improving.
So my role as the BQA state coordinator, I guess I wear a lot of hats. I serve as kind of the direct link for that state and national partnership when it comes to beef quality assurance. So it's a national program that's implemented on a state level to make sure that all the BQA best management practices that are suggested through the program make sense and are relevant for the cattlemen within our state.
I think it's a huge benefit for all of the state coordinators to come to this meeting. It's really good for state to state sharing. Although we all do things very different across every state, really in general cattlemen are struggling with the same things and they're looking for the same kind of answers. So when we can get together collectively, it really helps us to improve the BQA program overall.
One initiative state coordinators are working to implement now extends the BQA program to include training and best practices in cattle transportation.
BQA transportation, which is a new module, a new training effort, is something that is gaining slowly in New York, where I work. But the interest is there. And I think one of the things that we are beginning to see based on the beef quality audits that are done is that bruising is kind of an issue, okay? And so that is one area that we can further extend our efforts in animal welfare and animal handling.
I think it's critical for the BQA transportation program to continue to grow. It is incredibly important that producers are BQA certified and that they are doing the right thing every time on the farm, but when those trucks pull out of the farm gate, it's just as valuable for those transporters to be certified as well.
BQA certification is free, and increasingly cattle from BQA certified producers are in demand.
So right now, a lot of the packers and processors are requiring BQA in order to market cattle to them. And I do see a lot of these feed yards, when they purchase cattle, looking for cattle that have come from farms and ranches that have also gone through BQA and implement BQA best management practices.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff. From the BQA State Coordinators meeting in Colorado, I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Did you know you can get your BQA certification in the comfort of your own home through the interactive online classroom? After registering, you'll go through a training module that you can complete at your own pace. You can also start and stop without losing your progress. The certification process is free of charge, so what are you waiting for? Visit bqa.org for all the details. When we come back, we'll talk vaccines and why having the right plan is important to the long-term success of your operation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Now a BQA tip from the Beef Quality Assurance Program.
We know cattle are a great resource. They take a lot of materials, plants, things that are unusable in many other circumstances, whether it's grazing crops, grasses, co-products that are available, and we turn that into a very nutritious, dense product. But in order to do that and to be effective in doing that, we know that cattle we need to have the basics there in the framework to accomplish that. So nutrition is a big part of BQA from the standpoint that we need to not only make sure that animal is healthy, but we do that through making sure we have providing the adequate nutrition, adequate vitamin, minerals, and certainly a good clean water source for those cattle. Part of that entails looking at those feed resources, getting them evaluated and analyzed so we know exactly what we're providing to that animal, and just to set that animal up for success in utilizing those products.
Find out more about beef quality assurance at bqa.org. At Case IH, we believe it's our job to provide you with solutions. That's why our Farmall and Maxim tractors, as well as our tools and attachments, are designed with you in mind. From mowing to baling to loading and more, we're here to help turn your to-dos into to-dones. At Case IH, we'll keep your days running smoothly with equipment that's durable, versatile, and highly efficient. No wonder farmers are more loyal to Case IH than any other brand. Visit your local dealer or go to caseih.com/livestock for more.
Producers know that disease can be a major profit robber, hurting an animal's ability to gain weight and maintain health. Let's head to South Dakota, where Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck has more on the benefits of a sound vaccination program.
In the Black Hills region of western South Dakota, Blair Brothers Angus has a history dating back to the early 1950s. Today, the family operation sells more than 450 bulls by private treaty each year.
U.S. Premium gave us a market that we were looking for and a market that we could hit, and gave us a breeding objective, breeding good high carcass characteristics, high marbling cattle that you can get paid to do. It doesn't cost any more to run that cow, and you're adding value to the calf. I mean, we've also kept the herd very maternal and focused on having really good cows for our environment, but we've also, bred for that marbling and bred for things that'll do well in the feed yard, that'll, feed and grade. They have to look good, they gotta be high marbling, they gotta be heavy muscled, they, have to have good feet, good udders. We just don't have time to mess with the individual when you're trying to, run the whole herd.
Producing top quality bulls and cows means the team at Blair Brothers has to have a sharp focus on herd health. Because of that, they are believers in the value of a comprehensive vaccination program.
We've been pretty high proponents of keeping a good vaccination program and keeping those cattle vaccinated and their boosters in them.
Vaccinations to me are absolutely critical in maintaining herd health. I mean, if we do not have a healthy product, our cattle are not going to perform up to their genetic potential.
In spite of their efforts, a few years ago, the Blairs experienced a Pasteurella outbreak in their young calves close to branding time. Their veterinarian recommended they use Once PMHIN, an intranasal vaccine, to treat their calves.
In Britton's case, they knew they were dealing with Pasteurella maltosida. He worked with his veterinarian. They decided that Once PMHIN would be a really good fit for them, and they implemented it into their vaccination protocol. Herd immunity is critical to overall herd health, and we can use intranasal vaccines in very young calves to stimulate their immune systems, even while they've got maternal antibody from colostrum on board. And then as those calves get older, we know that they respond better to the injectable vaccines, the parenteral vaccines, so they'll get a little bit of a memory response when we vaccinate them at a later age, which helps increase their antibody level, makes them more resistant to disease, and gives them overall better herd health.
The value of the Blair Brothers vaccine program is clear. Even with a tough weather year in 2019, their calves stayed clear of any disease problems.
And this winter was real tough. It was really cold, and then we got wet and had a ton of wet snow and kind of muddy conditions. And before the calves even got sick, we got them in and got that intranasal in them, and I think it really prevented a lot of sickness with all the wet, tough, muddy conditions that we had this spring.
Working with producers and veterinarians and seeing the results of Once PMHIN has been very impressive to me. I mean, there's a lot of people that have implemented it into vaccination protocols and have seen very good results with the product. Once PMHIN is a good fit because it does have the dual strain, both Mannheimia and Pasteurella bacteria in it. And it's safe to give to calves as young as a week of age, so it can be given virtually at any time during that calf's life.
Dr. Thompson says one of the keys to keeping a vaccination program working best and making sure calves stay healthy is regular consultation with a veterinarian.
I think they need to evaluate with their herd health veterinarian at least on an annual basis, or if they have a disease challenge,
then I think they need to evaluate it again. And it's always good to get the local vet involved, get some diagnostics done to find out exactly what problem they're having, and then see if they need to make any changes in their vaccination protocols. The local vet is their best source of knowledge for the problems that happen in their area. You know, if they know the whole herd, nutrition, management practices, they're the best ones to help guide a producer in making vaccine decisions as well.
Vaccines are just a great tool for producers to use, and I think you have to use them. We never have a health outbreak anymore because of vaccinations, and you know, if you're selling them at the sale barn, you're going to take a discount without them. There's something that you just have to do, and it's going to return every time. Calves we buy out of the sale barn, I try to bring those home and hit them with nasal gin that night or early in the next morning, and we even bought some put together calves that have had, you know, very little sickness because of that nasal gin, just getting it in them right when we get home.
And like most everything else on the ranch, getting the most benefit from a vaccine program comes down to planning ahead and having a set protocol that delivers what the calf needs at just the right time.
Timing of vaccines is really ranch specific. A lot of it just depends on when they can handle those calves. If you have a ranch that historically has issues in real young calves, they're going to probably come in that first week of life with some intranasal vaccines. If other ranches that never see problems until later in the summer, more towards weaning time, then branding time is going to be the time to come in and give those intranasal vaccines.
A healthy calf's growing, going to put more pounds on, and just not having to go doctor anything all summer is a huge time savings, and have, you know, 0 death loss during the summertime is always a bonus.
Reporting from South Dakota, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on Merck's full lineup of products, just visit their website, mercanimalhealthusa.com. Still ahead, it's time for a visit with our good friend Baxter Black. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
It started with a man, a plot of land, and a few head of cattle. That man, your great-grandfather. You've got his name and his legacy, too. It's what you fight to live up to and work to leave behind. With innovation, integrity, and passion that runs as deep as yours, we'll be there. For your operation, for your future, for you. This is why Merck Animal Health works.
All across the nation, ranchers are feeling the crippling effects of respiratory challenges in more than 1 in 5 of their weaned calves. There's no end in sight to this devastating epidemic. But help is on the way. Purina starter feeds. Now with RX3 immune support technology, it boosts calves' natural defenses, priming their immune systems from the start. Join the fight and talk to your Purina rep to learn more.
Did you know that Prefert makes over 1,000 different farm, ranch, and rodeo items? And now, thanks to Prefert Direct, it's easier than ever before to get access to every item Prefert makes delivered direct to your local dealer. For more information about Prefert Direct, visit us at prefert.com. Prefert, America's #1 name in farm, ranch, and rodeo.
Pardon me, if you're looking for Baxter Black, you know, the funny cowboy, he's right here with a special offer. 6-hour-long DVDs filled with live shows, Emmy-winning comedy, all Baxter at his best. And the price is right, $25 plus shipping. 800-654-2550 or online at baxterblack.com. As Farmer Bill from Alabama said, he's the only famous person I know who is just one of us.
Howdy. What happened to your pickup seat? Is that Buffalo Track? Well, I guess you had to be there. We had a cow attack. It all began when me and Roy went out to check the cows. We'd finished lunch, watched RFD, and forced ourselves to rouse. We was poking through the happy bunch for calves to tag and check. I spotted one, but his old mom was bowing up her neck. But Roy was bent on tagging him and thought to make a grab. This is Roy. Just drive up there beside the calf. I'll pull him in the cab. Oh, great. Another stroke of genius. The cowboy daring do. Sure enough, when Roy nabbed the calf, his mama came in too, and I do mean climbed up in there, got a foot behind the seat, punched a horn right through the windshield, and she wasn't very neat. She was blowing stuff out both ends till the cab was slick and green. It was on the floor and on the roof and on the calf vaccine. At one point she was sitting up, just going for a ride. But then she tore the gun rack down and the calf jumped out my side, and I was fighting with the door lock that she'd smashed to passing by when she peeked up through the steering wheel and looked me in the eye. We escaped like paratroopers. Out the window landed clear, but the cow just kept on driving because the truck was still in gear. She topped the hump and disappeared. The blinker light came on, but if she turned, I never saw. By then the truck was gone. I looked at Roy. My truck's a wreck. My coveralls are soaked. I'll probably never hear again. I think my ankle's broke. And look at you. You're pitiful, all crumpled up and stiff, like you've been eaten by wild dogs and pooped over a cliff. I'm back. But think about it, Roy said. Since Grandpa was alive, I believe that's the firstest time I've seen a cattle drive. This is Baxter Black and Roy from out there.
Well, I've had my share of crazy cow encounters, Baxter, but nothing quite like that. Now, if you'd like to learn more about what's happening with NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen, you can find us on Facebook. Be sure to like our page, and we'll keep you updated with photos, details on upcoming shows, and much more. We're back with more right after this. Stay with us.
Are you ready to take your cattle genetics to the next level? Then you need to connect with Next Gen Cattle Company, offering outstanding Charolais and Beefmaster bulls and females that will work for you.
We want to create a superior genetic cow and bull crop, cows that will produce for 14 years, bulls that'll stand up under any environment.
The bull buyers, the commercial guys love the aspect that these cattle are raised on tough ground. They're going to go perform.
With integrity, passion, and vision, the Next Gen team delivers top quality seed stock and offers a premium calf buyback program.
Our buyback program, we provide a $10 head premium above the current market price in your area. We'll take an average of 3 local sale barns and give you a $10 head premium above that average.
Don't miss the second annual Flint Hills Classic Bull Sale on September 28th at Next Gen Cattle Company, featuring 150 Beefmaster and Charolais bulls. Find out more at the website nextgencattle.com.
Each year, a huge crowd turns out for the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It's a unique and fun environment for cattle industry members to come together to network, create policy for the industry, and to have a little fun. We asked some cattle industry leaders why it's so important to attend the 2020 convention in San Antonio.
It's so much fun to come to Cattle Industry Convention for so many reasons. You've got the huge trade show, over 7 acres under roof, where you can find the latest and the greatest, whether it's technology, equipment, anything you want to know about the cattle business. And then sort of on the other side of the hall, we're working hard. Our committees are working, our policy committees are working, our checkoff committees are working, and then it's a wonderful time just to network, just to meet people from different parts of the country, exchange production stories, exchange stories, to fellowship, and you build lifelong friends.
To me, the most important part of it is the people. Getting to interact with people that are in the same business, but from all parts of the U.S. and really all parts of the world. You know, we have so many similarities, we have so many differences, but it's also the best group of people that I've ever encountered in my life. Great people to be with, great people to spend time with. Same time with their trade show, it's an opportunity to see the latest in technology, latest in marketing, and that's very, very, very helpful to a producer making decisions. The other part of it is it gives every producer, every cattle producer out there, the opportunity to have a say. And as an officer of NCBA, something I really want to focus on is making sure that every producer has that chance. If you've got an opinion, certainly come here. Somebody else may have a different opinion and they'll tell you that. But let's interact and let's all work together toward that end result.
It doesn't matter if you're a first-timer or a long-time convention attendee. We want to see you in San Antonio. The convention runs from February 5th through the 7th. Registration and housing open next week on October 1st. Just go to ncba.org for all the details on how you can attend. We're wrapping up this week's show with legacy photos. These are great shots submitted by our viewers of daily life on their farm or ranch. Let's take a look. Want to see your photo on Cattlemen to Cattlemen? Message them to us on the Cattlemen to Cattlemen Facebook page or email them to c2c@beef.org. Well, that wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.